Dawson Rider Review.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for the Power Rangers Jungle Fury 5-inch figures. This was the first wave, including this dude. She was from wave 2, but I kind of wanted to include them together, and then I'll do the Masters together. But this is my personal favorite wave of Power Rangers figures of all time, because I was a huge Geki Ranger fan, and then these came out right after Geki Ranger ended, Jungle Fury hype was starting, and then there was the huge surprise when all of a sudden one of the first things to be found was this guy, and then these to follow, because we had no idea that they were coming. They were super exciting. They eventually made it into the show in the master form. But so this was exciting in general because I was hyped for Geki Ranger. We had 3 new Rangers out of nowhere. It was super cool. They had great designs. And then on top of that, I think they were some of the best made Bandai America figures we ever did. I'm going to go over accessories first before I forget. I do not have all of them. I will explain the ones that I don't have because, you know, I just kind of lose these things over time because I'm kind of messy about that. But he came with a chameleon sword, which was not in the show. She comes with this little Flit figure, which was a really nice little touch, whether you're a Geki Ranger fan or a Jungle Fury fan or both. It's just a nice little touch to have. I think it's really neat, and it's pretty well done, you know, for just being kind of a random accessory. She also came with a fly swatter for that, which is neat. Yellow came with her baton weapons, and you can have them separate or together. I think I have. Wait a minute. There you go, because I had an extra one. So you can have it either separate or together, which is neat. Really worth getting the camera to focus on that gray weapon. But yeah, that's cool. I like that. And then she also came with this little training bot guy, which you could like have as a cannon too. I don't think they ever used this in Jungle Fury. We used it in Geki Ranger, but not Jungle Fury. But given that, it was kind of neat that they had it with it since, you know, I was just coming off watching Jungle Fury. Both Red and Blue came with these little tiger cannon weapons, which weren't in the show. Not like the final cannon they used, but just like this weird handheld cannon. And then Red had his nunchucks. Blue had the little tonfas. Black here had these fan sword weapons, which weren't like in the show. He came with an elephant shield, and he came with a long sword. I'm not sure why these 3 didn't come with the elephant, bat, and shark traditional weapons, and then maybe they could have saved these for like their super weapons. I'm not sure why, but hey, at least they came with something. So I'm going to start here with Red. I'm only going to go over articulation on him for all the guys because it remains the same, and it's very solid and nice articulation. You have a nice ball joint here, you have swiveling, single knee joint, you have a nice hinge here on the foot, you have head and neck articulation. Like the head articulation is only up and down a little bit, but you have the nice creepy neck articulation, and then the nice hinge joint here. No waist articulation, but still pretty well articulated. And one of the things I liked most about this wave was that I had no loose joint problems. The Jungle Master figures still looked good, and I'll be getting to those eventually, but unfortunately there's sirens in the background you might be able to hear, and if you don't hear them, then I just might appear nuts. We get it. There's an emergency. I'm trying to talk about toys. Thank you. But what I liked about this wave is that, at least for me personally, I never experienced any loose joint figures with these. And also something I wanted to highlight, I purposely brought in a couple different variants. They're still at the core the same figure, but this one is the non-sound variant. There's no little strip here, but this one here you can see will have a little strip because the gimmick was a motion sensitive thing where they would move and make sounds, and you can see there was even little speaker bits. But these, I think black, red, and blue I think I have are the Disney Store exclusive versions, which took that out, which was kind of nice. I appreciated the attempt, but honestly they were super sensitive. I still remember when my original version of this fell over in the middle of the night and it scared the absolute shirt out of me. It was the worst. But these are very well done figures in my opinion. I think they have the most balanced mold in terms of they have a little bit of muscle but really hardly any. They're more slender. They're not perfect. The head neck thing is a little bit off compared to it, but I still think they mostly did a really good job at the sculpt, at the colors. Everything about these was just such a nice change, and they were some of the strongest figures, and in my opinion they still hold up for me. So blue was another one that didn't have the sound gimmick, but again, I think they did a really nice job on the details. Like, I was already excited for these, period, because I love the suit so much. I was excited for Jungle Fury, loved Geki Ranger, but it was just nice to have something that was actually very well done. And these were so exciting. I don't know if I'm alone in this, and I've mentioned this in other videos, but I personally prefer the regular mode for these guys to the super one we actually got. But for whatever reason, elephants always stood out to me. Maybe it's because it was the first one I saw, but there was something so unique about it. I just really love its design a lot. That's probably why I like Geo Elephant's design as well, because it kind of reminds me a lot of that. But you can see here, there's these little tabbies you can pull out, and I purposely trimmed the rest of them after mine scared me because I didn't want to deal with that. So this was the retail exclusive version, not exclusive, just the retail version. Same articulation, but really, really cool figure. I really like it a lot. I always go back and forth between whether I like Elephant or Bat the most because I think Elephant's really unique, but he just has this undeniable, awesome Batman-looking vibe. It's like a Batman Ranger. So they all have such unique helmets in my opinion. I mean, I guess Sharks is kind of samey, but these two are a little bit more unique. And the black and silver just looks really, really cool. This is also the non-sound version for this guy. Poor Shark, I'm talking about how much I like Elephant and Bat. I still do like Shark. I love all three, but I just thought Elephant and Bat were a little bit more unique, a little bit more standout-ish, because this guy's kind of felt like a more sleek version of the Wild Force blue helmet. I did appreciate the unique blue on it. It's not quite the light blue you'd see in something like Ninja Storm or, almost said Sestro, but it's not quite the dark blue of like a regular Blue Ranger, so I thought it was pretty cool. And he got like, actually, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, he got a large-scale figure. Okay, now we're moving on to the only core Ranger girl mold, which again, I think was one of the strongest girl molds. Maybe a little bit skinny, but certainly much more of natural proportions, and they did a really good job of like making the skirt flow down here. The articulation at the core was basically the same as the guys, the only real hindrance being the skirt piece, which is, it's soft, but it's hard at the same time. That's what a lot of figures are like that. But I tried to cut a little bit here to make this possible, so you could do that. So it looks nice, and it's not a full 100% hard piece of plastic that's difficult to deal with, but it did hinder it. But she does basically have the same articulation as the guys. You just have to kind of get around that. And also, I think of the core three, I think she's the most accurate looking to what the suit looks like in the show. So then this guy, he did come with the initial wave, our traditional villain figure, which was super cool because he's Ranger-esque. He's got a really awesome costume. I love his character. His gimmick was not the sound, but rather this well-hidden button that just opens and closes the mouth on this. But not all the details were 100% perfect, but this is a pretty awesome sculpt. They did a really nice job on the sculpt for this guy. I think the proportions are very well done. The black and gold looks really nice. They have the nice sculpted details in there. And you know, I like that we didn't use or attempt to use like actual fur or faux fur or hair or whatever, and we have that molded on. It does hinder the articulation a little bit. And what's nice about this guy, speaking of articulation, he features basically the same articulation as the Rangers. A little bit hindered by some of his armor bits, but he doesn't suffer from that syndrome which affects like 90% of villain figures where they decide not to give them leg articulation outside of maybe this. Like, unfortunately, the Blaze figure in Beast Morphers had that, and this guy was kind of in a similar boat, like a Ranger-esque villain, but he actually got articulation, and I was super happy to have this figure. And super happy that they also did Melee here, aka Camille. She came in the second wave, which included basically the same figures as these dudes, but they had like on fire arms, as well as the Super Legends Green Ranger figure, and she also has the full range of articulation, which is super appreciated. She's missing a little bit more details than Jared is, but still, I think a very nice sculpt, and it was really cool that we got her figure, and I was very, very happy with it. Just that we got it in general, but it was also a very nice figure. Even if it's missing some details, it really rounds out just having all of the major players in the series. Overall, like I said, this is my personal favorite wave of Bandai figures. One of my favorite waves of PR figures, period, still. So I think if you're a Geki Ranger or Jungle Fury fan, I definitely recommend tracking some of these down at least, or at least checking them out, because they're really awesome. I absolutely love the Spirit Rangers. Still one of my favorite Ranger surprises. Definitely one of the quote-unquote retro releases that holds up the most. It feels weird calling Jungle Fury retro, and yet it was 11, like almost 12 years ago now, which is absolutely insane. Anyway, that's about it for this one. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get the notifications from all my videos. Till next time, Dawson Rider, signing out.